Yay! Good morning, everybody. Welcome to everybody online joining us. Wonderful to have you with us. We have some lovely people in the room. We have the lovely Seth in the room, which is very exciting. And so we're going to have another good morning together. We're going to worship. Bry's got some good stuff. Bry's here, look. Rushing around with various tablets, trying to get stuff to work. Because it's never simple, but that's all right. We're going to have a good time anyway. So what a fantastic week it's been as well, weather-wise, right? Fantastic. I hope everybody's been getting out and about and doing some stuff. It's been really, really good. So Bry's going to share with us some, stuff about mosaics, because, that's what she's really into at the moment. And it's going to be really good. We've been looking at how we kind of discover God and see God through different parts of culture, art, nature, music, all of that kind of stuff. And so we're going to carry on looking at all those kind of bits and pieces today. Looking at kind of more the art. Last week I shared a bit about music and how that's affected me in different times. I've kind of met God in a way that I didn't think I would. So, that was amazing just to think back to those times. And I'm sure everybody had those moments where you kind of suddenly get this thing of, hang on a minute, I think something else is going on here in the middle of something incredibly ordinary, and you realize, oh my word, this is something else. So it's always good when God breaks through, and I think if we can attune our eyes and our ears to what's happening, we'll find that He's all around us all the time. Like we've said a number of times, and I've said a number of times, we're kind of primed for seeing God and hearing God in a place like this where we come together and it's church and it's all of that stuff, but actually there's so much other good stuff that He's showing us outside of here, and if we can tune our ears and our eyes to what He's doing, I think we're going to have, it's going to, I don't know, there's just more of an encouragement, isn't there? Sometimes you can get into the mindset of walking out of church and thinking, oh no, everything's not as good as when we do worship, or whatever. But actually, I think it's much better than we think. How you doing, Bri?
Yeah, all right.
She's got a mic in her hand. She's ready to go.
I've got like an iPad, a tablet, a phone, a little bit of retro paper. Then in a minute I'll have to go and walk over there and press the button over there because we're just not quite that
Hey.
technically together.
It's good though, right?
Yes, I think so.
We're going to find out in the next kind of hour.
Yeah, we will. No, we're doing good. And yeah, I just love talking about kind of creativity and finding God in unusual places, because it's just, I don't know about you, but I almost find it easy to find Him everywhere else.
Yeah.
When I think about some of the best encounters I've had with God, there've been some at church, but the majority of them have been anywhere else, which is a bit odd, isn't it? It's like, I don't know if that's good or bad, but it is a thing. It's just where I kind of, I don't know, connect. And so I'm still on the techie stuff. Like I still haven't worked out how to turn off Sparkle Top on the piano.
Oh, that sounds quite nice though. Sparkle Top.
Wish I had a Sparkle Top. And anyway, so the thing I picked for this week, I was listening to this talk about something unrelated, and they were mentioning this church in Nazareth called the Basilica of the Annunciation. Is that how you say it? I don't really know. It's not.
They have to speak very proper in there. Annunciation in that way.
Annunciación. It's more comfortable in Spanish or something. But they were talking about how at this church there's almost 50 mosaics, all of the same thing, all of a picture of the angel telling Mary that she's going to have a baby and she should name him Jesus. But they've each come from a different country around the world. And I just thought, how interesting to have the same task or like imagine if you went to the Louvre or like National Gallery or something, and they were like, oh, by the way, there's like hundreds and hundreds of pictures here, but they're all of the same thing. You'd be like,
yeah.
What? But they're all radically different, actually. And same sort of topic, but each one had a different take to it. And you can see them all online. It's really interesting just how each country has a slightly different take on it. And there were kind of two things that stood out to me. One was like the content itself, the topic of Mary getting this call from an angel, this crazy task, and just like what that's about. And the Catholic Church has been really, really, they've grabbed hold of that. And then I feel like Protestants like us have been a little bit shy about stuff to do with Mary because we don't want to be accused of like Mary worship or something. So we've just kind of like left her behind. But actually, she's one of these amazing kind of female characters in the Bible that shows us so much about what it means to like receive something from God, nurture it. And like, where would we be if she hadn't have said yes?
Yeah.
How would Jesus have come? What would have happened? Like the whole story, God let the whole story hinge on this kind of little teenage girl say yes or no.
Yeah.
And what a pivotal thing. And so I love that, like, her yes kind of, she didn't have to do much more than that.
Yeah.
Can't make anything happen. Just like submit and say yes and go with it, nurture it, let it grow, bring it to fruition, keep him alive, feed him a bit.
Yeah.
Until he starts multiplying, Rusk crackers to or something like that.
Yeah.
But then the whole of humanity is saved through Jesus after she says yes, not elevating her to like,
Yeah. But it's
not saying we have to pray to Mary all the time or anything like that. But what a character in the story. Oh my goodness. And we've been a bit nervous about, I don't know, looking at her and talking at her. So, yeah, that was interesting. But also the kind of like how they come. So thought we just have, first, I've got, before I trust the technology, we'll move to that in a minute. We'll see if anything works. But first, Thomas Merton, is this American monk, mystic, writer. I don't know if you've probably heard mention of him, and I imagine Mike's read him. He's got a thumbs up. Really kind of creative, poetic thinker, interesting guy from the 20th century. And he wrote this about the Annunciation. He says, the Annunciation, that just means, the announcement. We could just say announcement and I would know how to pronounce it. The announcement was not so much a vision as an earthquake in which God moved the universe and unsettled the spheres, and the beginning and end of all things came before her in her deepest heart. And far beneath the movement of this silent cataclysm, Mary slept in the infinite tranquility of God, and God was a child curled up who slept in her, and her veins were flooded with his wisdom, which is night, which is starlight, which is silence. And her whole being was embraced in him whom she embraced, and they became tremendous silence. Like, oh, that's kind of poetic, isn't it? I'm going to read it again just because it's like the first time you're just going, oh, pretty words. So he says, the announcement, the Annunciation, was not so much a vision as an earthquake in which God moved the universe and unsettled the spheres, and the beginning and end of all things came before her in her deepest heart. And far beneath the movement of this silent cataclysm, Mary slept in the infinite tranquility of God, and God was a child curled up who slept in her, and her veins were flooded with his wisdom, which is night, which is starlight, which is silence. And her whole being was embraced in him whom she embraced, and they became tremendous silence. I just love the idea that it's like this massive event happening where the spheres, that have been so carefully kept apart, like the heavens and the earth and all this like supernatural sacred stuff and then all this earthly other stuff, God just mixes it all up in a minute, and heaven comes and is like inside her, planted inside her body and curled up and asleep in gentleness and silence, waiting for this moment to come and shake the earth again. And it's just like, all she had to do was just rest and receive it, and the world is shaken. And I just think that's just a bit mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Jesus was called the Word of God, and we're all the reason the story of Mary, I think, has like resonated with so many people is that we learn from her how to receive the word of God into our very being, to nurture it, to let it sleep curled up within us and let it, wait for its moment of fruition. And that when God speaks, we might have no power to make it happen, but we receive it. And like Mary, we treasure these things in our heart and ponder on them and wait for the moment when it'll kind of make sense. And I just love that. I love that about her. I love that about her part in the story. And I think these little things that just happen in the quiet, in the secret, can be world shakers.
Do you think, I've been thinking about how I think it's quite the easy part of the whole, what am I trying to say here? It's quite easy to say yes to Jesus. But then it's all the stuff after you've done that. That's like the tricky bit, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like there's a moment of, yes, Jesus, yeah, I'll do whatever. I love you. And then it's like, oh, I didn't realize it was going to be quite like this. And I wonder whether we've kind of lost that waiting. Like we just want to get on with it.
Like active waiting.
Yeah. Like you get a word or whatever, you feel like you have a word from God about something you're going to be, inhabit, step into, whatever you want to say. And then there's this kind of rush of like, this has to happen now because...
How can I make this be?
how can I force this out, right? And you can't do that with a baby. I've never had a baby, but I'm told you definitely can't just do that. And I wonder whether we've kind of lost the waiting for this thing to happen. And when you try and make something happen, that's when it kind of goes a little bit weird because you're just trying to force
this unformed
poor
little thing that's not ready yet. Stop.
If a baby's born too soon, it's like, well, we've got to it's a bit of a panic.
It takes extra care to kind of, it's fragile. And I think there's this, I guess this must be a really hard thing in a way for guys to kind of picture, but like after I had Judah, I felt almost like lonely, even though there he was in my arms, but I got so used to him, Phoebe's nodding, so used to him being there, wriggling around, so conscious of him, so like he was with me and I was with him, and it's very hard to tell where one stops and the other starts. And I think that's part of what they're talking about in the Thomas Merton quote about this, like she embraced him and he embraced her in her body, that there's something to do with receiving the word of God, that it has to like flow through our veins, it has to become part of who we are. We had to sit with it and let it shape us and form within us. And I can definitely think of like themes that God's been speaking to me about that haven't. Sometimes I criticize myself because I'm like, well, it hasn't borne much fruit, has it? Like, I just think about it all the time, and it's sort of shaping who I am. But I don't know that anyone else would look from the outside and say, well, that's obvious, that's what God is doing in your life. It's just this, like, I just know that there's this line in a song I like at the minute, and he talks about just like, give me something obvious, to show me what you're doing. And then he goes, at the very end, he says, when I think about how my heart has changed, that's just something that I can't deny. And I think it's like that, when we really like take the word of God, and it's hard to see on the outside what's been happening, but when I think about how my heart has changed, I just know you've been doing something, it's become a part of me. And in the right time, in the right season, then I think that sort of comes to birth and we see something. But we have to be really comfortable with just waiting, nurturing, like let it shape us, let us change us.
Yeah. Before
anyone else even knows, and that's not very part of our performance culture, is it? It's like, well, what have you been doing about it? I'm thinking about it a lot.
I've been pondering it and treasuring it in my heart, I'll have you know.
Yeah. All right. I've been pondering.
It's good.
But are those the things that end up walking and talking and...
making lots of noise at the back. Quiet down at the back, please. And I wonder if when we kind of force these things, we kind of, what we do is we tend to just copy another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like we're going to see in some of the pictures, hopefully, what a
hope
smooth
so.
segue that was.
Yeah.
That we're going to see when something is left, and it is not just a copy. It's the same thing. So it's the same picture in this case, but it looks incredibly different because it's been born out of something, another person. If we kind of try and force something out, we go, well, it has to look like this and this and this because this is what these people are doing. And actually, I'm not entirely sure that that is how it's meant to be. It may have elements of those things, but if we allow it to kind of form in us, you know, these kind of, if we allow it to ponder and we allow these things to be treasured in us, then it comes out as something that has that looks like what it's meant, you know, other things, but is different. It's very hard to describe this. So the pictures of Mary, they're a picture of Mary and the announcement, but they look different because they've come out of different places, different cultures, different people.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay, well, look, I know one of the pictures is up, but it's not the same one as I have on my screen. So, Fee, I think you can see Croatia. I can see Chile. So I don't know what's going to happen. But I will say, if you want to look this up, hopefully you can hear us still. Tried and tested technology. You can look up these pictures. There's a website called Bible Walks, I think, and look up the Basilica of the Annunciation. Don't know what's making me go. I think it's because, was there like I don't know, some program where there was a sister Annunciation or something. Like, anyway, yeah, look them up. Beautiful picture, says Fee. Okay, so she can see Croatia. That's great. And that's everyone watching later, enjoy Croatia's picture. Let's see. I'll see if I can get Croatia as well, so people here can see it. I press it, and then sometime in the next 5 minutes, there we go. It comes up on the screen. So that's the Croatia one. Really like vivid colours, exploding into this kind of grey world. And there she is holding the baby. Let's see if we can get a different one. It's not moving for Fia, I don't think. It's moving for us. China. Why don't you describe what you see, Nathan, while I go and see if I can make the computer do something different.
Well, this one is kind of, unlike the Croatia one, it's kind of a tall, thin mosaic. Interestingly, this one doesn't look like lots of different tiles. It looks like rows of kind of square tiles that have been painted or coloured or in some way. So not kind of a traditional mosaic. I think maybe you can see that on your TV now, so I might not have to do the audio description.
A woman stands.
There are clouds beneath her feet.
Yeah. What a different kind of a picture, though. And Mary's Asian. I think that's like a starting point. And so is Jesus. Sort of Asian features, colours. I remember working with Andy Game, and I was designing something for him to use in Japan, and I did all these like bright colours. He was like, that's not really kind of the Asian sensibility. We like really kind of muted, gentle colours that aren't too kind of in your face. That's like the trends at the minute. And you can see that in this, that like we've got that bright golden, but then lots of the colours kind of merge as it goes down into the clouds. So there's like a softer palette. So different materials, different colours, different features. Is it more or less accurate? I'm not sure accuracy's like the point. Let's do another one. It takes a little while to ripple through, but coming up is Ecuador. I can now say Annunciation. This is Ecuador. And Mary's wearing a flag.
Yeah. And there's a moon.
Yeah.
Underneath there.
Yeah, weird kind of moon thing going on. And buildings above. So she's like earthbound instead of floating heavenly above it this time. The other one, she was up in the clouds. this time she's a very earthly. When you think about Ecuador and like communist movement and things like that she's like one of the people. She's there, like earthbound. She is our Mary, Mother of God, Our Lady. It's just a different kind of aspect to it. And note that they've both got dark hair and a little bit more like Latino looking. Coming up next is Germany. So yeah, really different again, like chunky blocks, traditional methods from like European looking, like probably a bit more familiar style to us, like living and growing up in Europe. Very earthy colours. And there she is, she's like a mother to all children there. We've got a boy and a girl, just seen in a different way, isn't it? Greece. This is Mary on the cover of Vogue. Looking really moody and pouty. Different colours again.
Yeah.
And you think of like Orthodox Coptic Christians in Greece, that we have these icons, it's rich golds and like really extravagant kind of ways of looking at it. I think this one's really striking and beautiful, different again, isn't it? And just the perspective I think is so funny. It's like Mary with this tiny little Jesus head on her shoulder. But like, oh, he's a cutie in that one. But that really, I mean, some of the country seem to like not really like showing Jesus too small and vulnerable. It's like he just popped out as a 10-year-old boy,
right,
you know, like you can reason. And
he's going to tell you
like
what to
German Jesus was a big boy.
Yeah.
Greek Jesus, she's this kind of strong woman, and here's this little Jesus that she's nurturing. And but there's some like real beauty and a traditional religious icon kind of look about it. We'll do a couple more. While the tech's working, I feel like we should just do it. Do you know what I mean? Like
quick.
Here's Ireland. It's perhaps a bit small for you guys in here, but like if I didn't tell you that was from Ireland, I think we could probably guess. It's got like all these greens and blues, mountains and hills, and there's the Irish like text at the bottom. All the kind of Celtic shapes around the edge and Celtic cross. So vibrant. It's like the colours of Ireland, isn't it? The greens and blues.
Oh, yeah.
You could see it in the landscape there, and yeah.
That's brilliant.
Very Celtic. I'm trying to... who have we got here? Italy? Oh, we can't see that one, sorry. See if Korea might have given up the ghost.
Oh, there we go.
We've got Korea. Yeah. Again, like much more muted, very simple. She looks like just an ordinary woman, doesn't she? It's not, we're not like lavish golds and heavenly wisdom now. She's just a girl holding a kid. It could be any mum. And again, sort of dark hair, slightly Asian features maybe, in like, she is us, is what it seems to be saying. Could have been any of us. I'm a bit disappointed Cameroon didn't work, because there was only one from Africa. Shame we can't show that one, but...
Look it up online.
Look it up online. Here we go. Philippines. This one's for Sam. Our buddy in the Philippines. Really gorgeous, right? And this is like such a heavenly moment. So she hasn't got the baby in arms yet. This is the moment of the angel, and this kind of like pouring out of power from heaven. Like the angel is drawing from the dove to give the word, but then there's an even bigger kind of waterfall of golden glory coming from the dove and pouring into Mary. And she's just a girl like sitting in her little veggie patch outside her house, having this heavenly moment. And like, I love it. Again, it's like totally different. Okay, we're getting... Oh, wait, there's another African one. This is South Africa. the Cameroon one, all the faces were like jet black, and that it was just kind of silhouettes of figures. This one, we've got a sort of white Mary, but it's like very vibrant and colourful. And I'm headed for... Oh, okay, 2 last ones. This one I like to think of as Madonna, which sort of works because Madonna means Our Lady, my lady. And she's all metal and pointy.
Yeah.
Very Madonna-esque. This one's from the USA. They like a pop star. This is Mary the rock star, clad in steel. A really different one.
Yeah.
Different materials and like different, really, yeah, what a different way of tackling the thing. Last one. We have Wales. Again, very Celtic, very... I would probably recognise that as Welsh, I think, just from the dandelions and daffodils and foxgloves.
One by the water. First time I've seen fish in any of them, which is interesting.
Oh yeah, you can see. I can't see the bottom of the thing, but yeah, by a river with fish.
Yeah.
Like really connected to the
Yeah.
land in this one. It's about the flowers, the rivers, interesting, isn't it?
It is.
And again, different materials that have come from that place. So anyway, you
Yeah.
talk.
I'll talk. Well, I remember hearing a thing about, and they were talking about on a similar thing. What, we always, in Europe, we always had depictions of white Jesus, who was always, on the cross, just a white dude with lovely long hair and stuff like that. And, there's a big thing about, well, he wasn't white, he was Middle Eastern, and he was, right, which is right. He's a Jewish man who came from the Middle East. But what a lot of these pictures are trying to do is, like you said, they're trying to connect the people who are there seeing this. If there was just a picture of a Middle Eastern man doing his thing, it's like, well,
That's a long way from me.
that's for those people.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not for me. And they're trying to, and we need to remember he is Jewish, because that is very important in
Yeah, I
understanding.
don't think the problem is the depiction. The problem is that we
Yeah.
haven't listened to enough voices. Like if we listened to
Absolutely.
all of those different ones and saw Asian Mary, Jewish Mary, English Mary, whatever, the whole thing, then she would really be ours, all of ours, and have all these different facets. And I'm not saying she was Asian or
Yeah.
she was a Jewish woman. That's all right. But it's all right to see it through different people's eyes, as long
Yeah.
as we realise not just we get into a bubble and we think our expression is the only expression, the right and that's where it's gone a bit wrong, because there's just been a million blonde Jesuses, and people all around the world are like, but where's our Jesus? Where do I see myself in him? Do I have a part in this family? And I think it's really important for people to see themselves in the family of God at some point.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, well, and it reminded me, the other aspect was about the materials and the colours of the land, and that each country did it in a way that was kind of their traditional art form, their materials, and the materials lead you to the colours, because you've got your like red clay or your, do you know what I mean? Like those become the colours that you have around you. The colours of Dorset, we've got some of the pictures, most of them are gone now, but like the yellow gorse, the green ferns, the blue sea.
Yeah.
They're familiar colours to us. They're around all the time. And that's part of like our world and becomes part of our expression. And I was thinking about, we've probably like talked about this a lot of times, but good old Godfrey Birtle coming here and talking about our worship music, not just ours, but like the way that the church likes to worship, being a bit like Coca-Cola, that wherever you go, it tastes pretty much the same. It's all one formula, one size fits all. And it's all right. But then there's like all these local wines that take on the flavour of the land it's come out of, like the soil, the climate, the care that it gets, like everything about that influences the taste of the wine. And that's what makes it taste so dramatically different in different places. And like, where are our local expressions of worship? Do we just have the same? It's a bit like, when you go to pick your wine from Tesco's and they've got like all the same brands. Here we go again.
Yeah.
But actually, there's tons more. And I was reading this thing the other day about worship songs, expressions of justice, like is massive in the Bible, but does it pop up in the top 25 songs in the worship charts? And the guy said, well, funny enough, you don't have to look too far because the top 25 songs are all from like 3 big churches. You got your Bethel, you got your Hillsong, you know, and they're ones that we all know, we're really familiar with, and they're great, but they're kind of Coca-Cola. And where are the local expressions, the local flavours? Yeah.
Boom. Well, why don't we play some of those songs now?
But with our own little twang.
Absolutely. So do check out the rest of the mosaics and stuff. Find them online. Where did you find them?
Yeah, so I think it's called Bible Walks has got it. But look up Basilica of the Annunciation.
There you go. We can find them and spend some time with them.
Yeah.
You know.
And I do think, like, although we are going to do some generic songs or whatever, they're the things that kind of unite us and get us all on the same page to start off. But it's all right to start with a Coca-Cola, but then you've got to move somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? So that's why it's important that we find our own expressions moving past that point, that we have those like gaps between, and that's where the real flavour comes out. Yeah. Sing in your own words, like do your worship.
Do your worship. You do you, man. Come on.
Do you. Yeah. Sorry there won't be words on the screen today, but really getting pictures up there was like enough of a challenge.
That was a challenge. There we go. Yeah. Let's do this. He brought me to his banqueting table. He brought me to his banqueting table. Oh, and his banner over me is love. Oh. For I am my beloved's and he is mine. I am my beloved's and he is mine.
I am my beloved's and he is mine.
And his banner over me is love. Oh yes, his banner over me is love. It's love. And we can feel the love of God in this place. We believe your goodness, we receive your grace. We delight ourselves at your table, oh God. You do all things well, just we can feel the love of God in this place. We believe your goodness, we receive your grace. We delight ourselves at your table, oh God. You do all things well, just look at our lives. brought me to his banqueting table. He brought me to his banqueting table.
Brought me to his banqueting table.
And his banner over me is love. And I am my beloved's, and he is mine.
And my beloved's, and he is mine.
I am my beloved's, and he is mine.
I am my beloved's, and he is mine.
And his banner over me is love. Oh, and his banner over me is love. It's your love. It's your love. And we can feel the love of God in this place. We believe your goodness. We receive your grace. We delight ourselves at your table, oh God. You do all things well. Just look at our lives and we can feel the love of God in this place. We believe your goodness. We receive your grace. We delight ourselves at your table, oh God. You do all things well. Just look at our lives. Oh, you are so good, Lord. Just look at our lives. Oh, you've given all, you've blessed us with all. That you lavish all your love upon us. Here right now, everywhere. We can feel the love of God in this place. We believe your goodness. We receive your grace. We delight ourselves at your table, oh God. You do all things well. Just look at our lives. Oh, just look at our lives. Your love, it overwhelms us. Your goodness all around us. You touch every part of our lives.
The faithfulness of God will be the palette for my praise.
my soul longs and even faints for you. For here my heart is satisfied within your presence. I sing beneath the shadow of your wings. 'Cause better is one day in your courts, better is one day in your house, better is one day in your courts, thousands elsewhere. Better is one day in your courts, better is one day in your house, better is one day in your courts, thousands elsewhere, thousands elsewhere. One thing I ask, and I would seek to see your beauty, to find you in the place your glory dwells. One thing I ask, and I would seek to see your beauty, to find you in the place your glory dwells. 'Cause better is one day in your courts, better is one day in your house, better is one day in your courts, thousands elsewhere. Better is one day in your courts, better is one day in your house, better is one day in your courts, thousands elsewhere. Better is one day in your courts, better is one day in your house, better is one day in your courts, thousands elsewhere. Better is one day in your courts, better is one day in your house, better is one day in your courts, thousands elsewhere. Where else would I go? My heart and flesh cry out for you, the living God. Your spirit's water for my soul. I've tasted and I've seen. Come once again to me. I will draw near to you. I will draw near to you. My heart and flesh cry out for you, the living God. Spirit's water for my soul. I've tasted and I've seen. Come once again to me. I will draw near to you. I will draw near to you. Better is one day. Better is one day. Better is one day. far away. In the ordinary spaces, in my ordinary life, in the ordinary places, you are never far away, never far away, never far away, never far away, never far away.
Where could I run? Where could I hide? How could I leave this love behind? Where could I run? Where could I hide? How could I leave this love behind? Your love is all around me. 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 Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ around me, Christ inside me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ around me, Christ inside me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ around me, Christ inside me. Oh, your love is all around. Your love is all around. All around. Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ around me, Christ in. Your love is all around. Your glory shine around. Let your glory shine around. King of heaven, may be found. King of glory. So let your glory shine around. Let your glory shine around. King of glory, may be found. King of glory.
We thank you that your love surrounds us. Wherever we are, whatever we're doing. We love you and we worship you, Jesus. Yeah, amen. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Or if you're online, it's been lovely to have you with us. Thanks for joining us in the room. We love you all for coming down here on a Friday and hanging out and having good chats and good worship. So, yeah, we'll be back here next Friday, 10 a.m. So do join us for that. There is a service down here on Sunday morning at D22. If you'd like to book in, do book in. There's emails and links around. It's the family one. So families with kids and all that stuff. We're going to have a great time down here. So do join us for that. If you can't, is there an evening thing as well? He says, looking around, hopefully. There is an evening just worship thing. So if you want to join us for that, book in if you want to come down in person or join us online. Have a fantastic week, and we will see you next time.